From Wish TV and the All Indiana Podcast Network, this is the Business, Equity, and Opportunities Podcast with Scott Sander.
Welcome to the Business, Equity, and Opportunities Podcast. I'm Scott Sander. On this episode, we'll have a follow-up to our popular JPMorgan Chase interview. And we talk to this year's Woman of the Year in the trade industry. That's a lot to get covered, so let's get started.
Every business is unique and has a target audience. If you own or manage a business, Circulus Digital Media can help you connect and grow your customer base with turnkey digital solutions that are nimble, offering best-in-class results, service, and support to reach a bigger customer base, allowing you to pinpoint a specific audience down to the smallest details. Get outside the city, the state, span the globe. Put Circulus Digital Media to work for you. Get started now at circulusdigital.com. That's circulusdigital.com.
So I'm Dawn Conwell, Senior Director of Procurement and Supplier Diversity for Pacer Sports and Entertainment. Oh, wow. It's been 30 years, long time coming, but I started out, graduated from Purdue, born and raised here in Indy, and then out of college, I have an engineering degree, so I started out in the automotive industry. Spent some time there at General Motors, 8.5 years, and then Toyota as well. And at GM is when I started my whole buying career. So I moved into purchasing at the time. It wasn't procurement, it was purchasing. And bought fasteners. So that's really started my love for procurement and buying. And went to Toyota, bought seat sets there for North America, really expanded my horizon, spent a little time in Japan, learning in Japan. It was awesome. And then I moved back to Indy, got married, had a family, and then I went to work for Mays Chemical, Bill Mays. Wonderful company, small business, a black-owned business. Bill Mays was such a giver and a stalwart in the community, which really helped develop my love for small business. I worked there for 15 and a half years. I was purchasing manager, still in the area of procurement and purchasing, and just developed a lot of relationships there. You may know Kristen May, she took over the company. I just wanted to do something different, had been there 15 and a half years and got the opportunity to go into sports. And I left Mays Chemical and went to the NCAA and actually implemented procurement there. So spent 3 years at the NCAA developing their procurement system. And then this position just kind of popped up, fell in my lap. It was a natural progression because it was the same thing that I had done at the NCAA successfully in implementing procurement and same system. And still within the love of supporting small businesses. So that's kind of how I, got to Pacer Sports and Entertainment. They were looking for someone to implement procurement and supplier diversity, and, that had been my love. So I've spent time in manufacturing, I've spent time in distribution and looking at how things move and the cost of movement and stocking and storing. And then, the service industry with the NCAA and Pacer Sports and Entertainment. So from a whole supply chain standpoint, I pretty well understand, how things move from a supply chain standpoint, which really lends well to small business and mentorship of small businesses, helping them to understand how the supply chain works and, where the peaks and the valleys are and how to really develop their business. because I've been able to see it from beginning to end in all different industries. So it's played really well. It's so wild. I have one business, well, more than one. They just call me the champion. And it's an endearing term. Sometimes it's tough. You got to fight for them. People don't understand why we should use small businesses. But when those businesses come back to me and give me a hug or call me or touch bases with me and say, can you give me advice, or how do I handle this? That happens every day, all day with me. And that is what keeps me going every day. That's what gives me that fulfillment.
Over the years, we've certainly encouraged relationships as a way to get ahead on your journey to becoming an entrepreneur, a small business owner. A couple of people who know that path quite well, though they know each other quite well without knowing each other at all. Join us right now, David Roger and Hedel Jogi, who join us with a remarkable relationship crafted through JPMorgan Chase and the private bank. Thank you both for being with us very much. Hedel, let's start with you. What's your role with the bank, and how did David come into your life?
So I am a part of the client service relation in here in Indianapolis, and I'm a client service professional, and I manage client David's day-to-day transactions, his accounts, any inquiries he has on the accounts.
How did this come together, David? You were, and this is 5 years into this now, looking to do the very thing that we talk about each week.
Yeah, so this actually, even back before then, I think Hedel and I have known each other for over half a decade. With my previous company, Felix Gray, which Joe was the main banker, Hedel was our main contact there. And now we've started a new company and have continued to work with Chase and Hedel.
What are sort of the benefits that you've seen through this relationship?
There's a lot that goes on into a business, a lot of the nitty gritty that people don't think about when they're first starting something. And a lot of that has to do with the administration and the finance. And you need a great team like the people at Chase to help support you along the way. So that might mean opening accounts, making sure wires are getting sent through during COVID, making sure that, the loan documents that we were able to get were secured. All those things, Hedel, Joe, and the rest of the Chase team were really helpful with.
Hedel, he mentioned the nitty and the gritty. If you're an expert at that, sort of talk about what his story has meant in terms of how it relates to other potential customers or those that you work with as well. Is it a pretty typical experience that once this relationship is formed, it stays forged together for years?
David and I worked together, for a very long time, and I like to connect with my clients. Part of my job is to connect with the client and take care of them because they are busy running their own company. I don't want them to worry about their banking.
You know each other, but you barely know each other. Is it correct that this may have only been the maybe second time you've seen each other in the more than half decade you've worked?
Yeah. We mostly emails and phones, and then during the COVID, the Zoom came, and we had a one Zoom, I believe, with David, and that's about it. We have never met in person.
David, is it odd knowing someone so well, then never knowing them?
I don't think so. I think like Hedel said, post COVID and during COVID, the world kind of changed, and we ended up at Felix Gray going remote and then hiring people that were, remote who I hadn't met. Some people took me 18 months until I finally met them in person. Hedel, I still haven't met in person. I know that, Hedel and her daughter, they went to India recently. It extends beyond just the work relationship, and I think you can have a meaningful relationship with today's technology, even if you've never met in person.
Well, you talk about it extends beyond that. I understand this really does. And if someone was watching this and thinking, oh, they're just giving love to the bank or whatnot, no, this is an actual, I guess, is friendship the right word? Because you've done something very profound with one of your new business ventures that relates directly to your partner. Tell us what the name of the company is.
Yeah, so just a little bit of background. So as we really expanded into retail at Felix Gray, we realized how broken a lot of the systems were in terms of brands understanding how they're presenting on shelf, which is so important to making sure that they're selling through their inventory properly. And so we started a new company, and the idea behind that was ensuring your retail health. And we wordsmithed that, and we had a bunch of different options on the table, and we came to Heddle. So, and one of the driving principles behind us deciding that name was it has such a good vibe from, the years that we've worked with Heddle. And I'm working on this new company with a bunch of members of the old Felix Gray team that, we just said, this is a great name. We got to go for it.
That's pretty humbling, isn't it, Hal?
It is super. I was super overwhelmed, and I actually couldn't believe it. So I had to call David. I said, David, is this coincidence, or did you actually pick my name? And he just started laughing, and he said, did you like it? And it was just, I still don't believe it.
Bigger charge out of having a company basically named after you, or meeting with Jamie Dimon in his recent visit to Indianapolis?
Well, because of David, I made Jamie Dimon. So I actually thanked David, sent him pictures, and I said, because of you, I met Jamie Dimon. Meeting Jamie Dimon was my lifetime dream.
Wow.
I used to say, I've been with Chase for 26 years, and just randomly, I used to say, one day I'm going to have a picture with Jamie Dimon. Because I see a lot of employees' pictures and stuff. I said, one day I will have, but I didn't know this dream was going to come true. And thank you, David, for that, making that dream come true.
Not just me, Heddle. Well deserved for a lot of reasons. And
next one is to take a picture with you, David, when I'm coming in New York in May or June.
Okay, that sounds great.
So this is going to happen.
It will happen.
I believe it. What a cool story. I think it underscores what we talk about a lot, these relationships being so important. And whatever bank one chooses, if someone feels like the customer service is not a thing anymore, this seems to be pretty good evidence. And David, since you're the client here, would you agree that doesn't have to be the case?
100%. And there's so many new age banks that are out there, and while they're great in many ways, they don't have that human relationship, and that's not always. It really isn't always important until it becomes really important, and you really need something, and then that's when it makes all the difference in the world.
You guys are terrific. Thank you for the time today. Promise me that one of you will send us the snapshot of when you two finally meet in New York City, all right?
Deal.
Definitely will.
Heddle Jogi, thank you. David Roger, thank you. Now both of you get back to work. Renee Lucas is the owner of LCS Heating and Cooling and the 2023 Service Nation Woman of the Year, and a staunch advocate for women in the trade.
This is Business, Equity, and Opportunities Success Story.
My husband was an HVAC technician out of high school. After a little while, that's what he went to school for. And, he said to me one day, it'd be cool to have our own business. And so fast forward several years, he worked as an installer, he worked as a service technician, and we felt like we were ready. And so in 2005, we established LCS Heating and Cooling. And so that's really my introduction. I didn't know anything about the trades until then. And I started out, I was answering all of our phone calls. I was, getting a website built. I was doing the invoicing. I was doing all of the kind of behind the scenes in the office. And over the years, that position has evolved, and the company has grown. And so today, I'm definitely a visionary of the company and see where do we want to go and what do we want to look like and what do we want our team to work towards and all that good stuff. I do a lot with our marketing and finances of the business as well. This is traditionally thought of as a male-dominated industry, and so you're used to a male technician coming to your home. You're used to a manager being male, and so it's actually evolved a lot over the years. And I'm an example of that. So starting out answering the phone in what would be more of a traditional role that is thought of, into moving into management and finance and different things like that. A lot of training that happens here in marketing. We have female technician on our staff. Our service manager is female. And so there's a lot of opportunity for women in the trades outside of what you might think is a traditional role. I think for a lot of people, and I really struggled with this when I was starting it out, it was a lack of confidence in knowing, like, I don't really know what an air conditioner is. I don't, am I smart enough to understand, how that works and to be able to work on it and repair? Am I mechanically inclined? And so I think there's that misconception that you have to have some sort of history or something like that to be able to work on a piece of equipment like that. So many companies today, they train. And so as long as you have a willingness to learn and you're willing to, put that time in to understand and to learn and to work and to practice, anybody can do it. And then you'll find your knack as you start out. We've had people who have started as a maintenance technician and then they've decided that they really like the installation side of it better, or vice versa. We've had people who've started in the field and then they've gone into a sales position. And so there's so much room to grow and there's so many avenues to take a career that I think that, there's this misconception that you have to be a technician or you have to answer the telephone, or I think the other misconception is that because it is a demanding, it can be an emergency service that's provided. So, I'm going to be working, 8 o'clock in the morning until 10 o'clock at night. Okay. And so are there times of the year where it gets pretty busy? Yes. When it's 0 out or 90 out, it can be pretty demanding for us. But, when it's not, there can actually be a lot of flexibility in our industry, especially if you are in, a maintenance technician, if you are in sales, if you're doing some marketing. People don't realize the flexibility, which can help out with things like childcare and home and kids' sports schedules and all of that good stuff. Women relate to people in a different way than men do. And it's not right, it's not wrong, it's just different. And so there are a lot of times, I'll never forget, I'll give you an example. I'll never forget the first time I was talking to somebody on the phone and I was answering questions about a quote for a new system that my husband had provided, but he wasn't home. And so I was talking to her and I was answering questions and Travis walked in and I said, "Oh, hey, Travis just got here. I can put him on the phone with you." And she was like, "Oh, no, I don't need to talk to him. You're doing fine." Talk about a confidence booster, right? And so that really it helped me understand that I can do this and I do know what I'm talking about and I can learn and I do find it interesting, which is what keeps me going with new technology and new things as our industry is evolving. But, a lot of it comes from self-confidence. As a company, we belong to a company called Service Nation Alliance, and it's a best practices group for contractors. So really helps contractors understand, how to run a great business, how to provide a business that, lets your employees be successful and happy and financially stable, and how to provide the best service to your clients and all of that good stuff. And so, each year there is a Woman of the Year award that is recognized, and I am so honored to have received that award in 2023. Looking at the women that have come before me, I remember sitting when Travis and I were first really getting to that point in our business where we were attending some conferences and doing some continuing education. I thought, man, I'd love to win an award one day. And that day came in October. And I tell you, it was very humbling. I feel very grateful. And I think of all of the companies and all of the people that have helped us along the way. Owning a business is no joke. It's tough. And there's some days you celebrate and there's some days you cry, right? And so, all of the people that supported us, and one of my goals is to be able to support other small business owners in the same way. And especially when they're, going through challenging times or there's something that they're working to improve upon in their business, I want to be a resource for them, just like so many have been for me.
Our thanks again to all the contributors who joined us for this episode of the Business Equity and Opportunities podcast. We hope you found it enlightening, useful, and inspiring. You'll find more information about the show on our website, BEOshow.com. You can watch Business Equity and Opportunities Sunday mornings at 10 on Wish TV or live stream it through wishtv.com. Each week we provide 7 full segments with topics ranging from how to get started and how to access capital to the day-to-day running of your business and questions about accounting and bookkeeping. We feature business news and trends and always share a success story from one of our contributors. Join us next time for more insights into the world of small business. Be sure to sign up for our Business Equity and Opportunities newsletter to get even more valuable, up-to-date information. And if you have any questions or you'd like to be part of our show, please email us. The address is beo@wishtv.com. We'd love to hear from you. I'm Scott Sander. Thanks for listening.
Watch the Business Equity and Opportunity Show on Wish TV and access all of our content and share it on demand anytime at BEOshow.com. You can find more podcasts from Wish TV on the All Indiana Podcast Network at allindianapodcastnetwork.com.